Actual retail price, $23,743. You got it right on the nose. You in both showcases.
Hey guys, and welcome back to Spacebound. In today's video, we'll be taking a look at some of the smartest cheaters in game show history and exactly how they managed to sneak away with their winning.
3, 3, 6, Michael. 6 spins. Go, he says. Michael's going. Wait a minute.
At least some of them. Let's jump right into this one. Up first, we've got a man by the name of Charles Ingram.
Getting away with cheating us out of £1 million was going to need a mastermind with a cunning plan and a genius accomplice.
The former British Army major gained infamy in 2001 after September 9th and 10th appearances on the popular game show Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Ingram played his way all the way through to the final round and ended up winning the maximum amount of money possible, £1 million.
But it could be a gigabit.
No cough there either.
I don't think it's a Megatron.
While playing, Ingram would take full advantage of the show's structure, talking out loud to himself and going over each answer multiple times. This didn't seem out of the ordinary at all because multiple contestants on different game shows have employed similar tactics, and Millionaire's host even claimed that the checks signing afterwards seemed perfectly normal and nothing out of the ordinary had taken place. However, controversy sparked once one of the producers of the show got their hands on the footage to edit it together for TV and noticed that every single time Ingram said the correct answer out loud, someone would cough in the audience.
Diana develops a nasty cough of her own.
A1 or Craig David.
As it turns out, Charles had plotted beforehand with his wife Diana and another contestant a scheme to guarantee their success, which in fact saw either of the two coughing from the audience whenever Charles said the right answer. Labeled the most British crime of all time, Ingram ended up being found guilty for procuring the execution of valuable security by deception after 3.5 days deliberation by a jury. While Ingram wouldn't serve any jail time, him, his wife, and the fellow contestant on the plan ended up having to pay 115,000 euros in fees. Next up, we've got a man by the name of Michael Larson.
Now, Michael, what do you do for a living?
Oh, I drive an ice cream truck in the summer. I hope to win enough money here not to have to do that
Do you
this
have it
summer.
with you today?
Back in 1984, Larson applied and ended up contesting on the game show Press Your Luck, a show that revolved around game boards with constantly switching lights that would highlight numbers with cash prize amounts shown once selected. Larson had started recording Press Your Luck episodes shortly after its 1983 debut and quickly realized that the randomizer moving the light indicator on the game's big board only had 5 different patterns.
One prize worth more
I'm
than
ready.
5,000.
I'm
Some
ready.
Whammies. Be careful. Here we go. $4,000 on a spin.
Larson started to memorize these patterns, and after doing some practicing by pausing with his remote control, he was confident that he would always predict exactly where the light would end up. He also discovered that 2 specific squares always containing cash and never had the whammy, essentially the game show's bankrupt that would set your total earnings back to 0. One of those squares always contained a top dollar value, which allowed an additional spin in the second round, which he took advantage of to always keep himself in control of the board as long as he kept following the patterns.
For more big bucks. Stop at 1,000 and a spin. 12,005. 6 spins, 7 spins. You haven't lost a spin, Michael. You've done never.
Once he felt confident in his plan, Larson spent most of his savings to fly over to Los Angeles and audition for the show. Bobby Edwards, the contestant supervisor, was actually suspicious about Larson and his motives for playing and didn't let him in, but the show's executive producer, Bill Carthers, overruled this and allowed him onto the show. Larson employed his tactics and ended up winning over $110,000, which has more than doubled in value since 1984. The producers of the show had checked over the footage afterwards and noticed that based on his reactions, Larson clearly always knew that he had landed on a big money spot before the prize amount was even revealed. CBS initially refused to pay Larson, but after having the legal team look it over, they realized there was nothing in the show's rules forbidding what he had done, so technically he hadn't even cheated, and he got to enjoy his big payday. Illegal schemes and issues with the law would run Larson dry of his earnings within 2 years, but hey, at least he had somehow fair fun while it lasted.
Stop at 750 and a spin.
And next up, you guys, we got a Spanish game show by the name of Pasapalabra.
Uno sobre el otro o las piernas sobre la otra cuando se está sentado.
Cruzar.
Sí, Alfredo, en béisbol, entrada.
In.
The game show is well known for bringing in already established celebrities, and for this episode brought in Spanish television presenter, actress, and model Adriana Abina.
Una bendita. Yo ya me planto con una ya experimentado lo que es ser mamá y me parece que es una experiencia muy chula.
During one of the game show's particular segments where contestants had to try to guess the tune they were listening to, Adriana was doing suspiciously well, all while before people realized she looked down towards her lap before getting the answer right. As it turned out, Adriana had her phone open in her lap with Shazam, the app that automatically tells you what song is playing.
¡Vuela!
Yo creo que deberían darnos los puntos directamente, como son anteriores.
Pero eso lo comentamos antes, pero lo comentamos de coña.
No.
Well, doing exactly that. This one is admittedly a lot more lighthearted than the other entries on this list, with the host joking it off and even commending Adriana for such a brilliant strategy. And up next comes a man by the name of Charles Van Doren.
Names a fermented milk food. At $2,500 a point. The category is boxing.
High pressure with big stakes.
Way back during the 1950s, one of the most popular game shows was named 21 and features a similar concept still employed today where contestants can keep coming back every episode as long as they continuously win. Well, after Man, that showrunners despised, had kept winning and winning, they decided to sabotage his streak by bringing in Charles Van Doren, giving him all the correct answers beforehand, and having him finally dethrone the former king of 21.
Oh my goodness. You want me to name the second, third, fourth, fifth wives, and what happened to all of them?
The showrunners liked Charles' demeanor and telegenic look so much that they wanted to keep him around on the show and intentionally helped him break the former champion's winning streak. Charles would go on to win every single episode of 21 for 2 entire months, being fed the answers beforehand and ended up winning just shy of $130,000 in earnings, which by 2019 equates to over $1.1 million. The predetermined streak would be a big success for both parties, as 21 would see the most intrigue and highest ratings in their show that they've ever seen before, while Charles will go down to become the most famous and even make it to the cover of Time magazine in 1957. After having enough living with the lies, however, Charles came out with the truth about being given every correct answer he ever gave on 21 beforehand.
You'll have to tell me rather than
He divorced her.
He did. You're right. Finally, the fifth.
The fifth. It's one more.
Charles' actions would go on to spark a lot of waves in the game show community, as it soon came out that just about every game show from the 1950s had their own form of corruption or scandal, an unfortunate truth especially when you hear the quote Charles had given earlier in his string of victories when suspicion over his legitimacy was questioned. It's silly and distressing to think that people don't have more faith in quiz shows.
Van Doren retracts his earlier denials of getting any assistance. He admits that he received dramatic coaching and the questions and many of the answers.
And finally, you guys, we've got a man by the name of Terry Nees. By the time Terry shows up for that episode of Price is Right, the show's then 38-year history didn't see a single person perfectly guess the price of a showcase. Terry Nees broke that 38-year streak, as he'd be the first man in history to ever correctly guess the exact price of a showcase. Terry must have loved the patterns just as much as Michael Larson, because after studying the show for 4 months, he and his wife Linda realized every single prize on the show had been repeated, so they just had to memorize the values. After making it to the final round and seeing the showcase, Terry remembered his studies and figured the retail price must have been around $23,000.
$23,743. Wow. That's a very exact bid. Good luck. Sharon, here's your showcase.
Given how the Price is Right works, the following numbers were pretty pointless to memorize, so Terry simply picked his wedding date and his wife's birth month to fill in the last 3 numbers, with April 7th and March giving him $23,743, the exact price. His explanation to Drew Carey afterwards led the show being almost completely changed, with an all-new showcases and prices to ensure this kind of quote-unquote cheating never happened again. Although, just like Larson, Terry got to keep his money as no rule banned this method at the time.
$3, you got it right on the nose. You in both showcases. Hasn't happened since 72 or 73, right on the nose.
And with that being said, that concludes 5 smartest game show cheaters' secrets revealed. If you've enjoyed the video, please make sure to leave a like on it. Also, comment down below what your favorite part was, or if you know any that we didn't mention here. Also, don't forget to subscribe with notifications on to never miss more awesome content like the one you just watched. But besides that, you have yourselves a great day.